Power is such an important yet often unacknowledged part of a partnership or a collaborative process for that matter. It certainly does color the way that people are allowed to show up within that process and the way that decisions are made, and then ultimately how effective that partnering or collaborative process has been. When I talk about power, I see two forms of power often. There's the power that we're most confident seeing and recognizing, which is the often legitimate formal power that comes with occupying a position within an institution. So if you're the head of a department or a minister of a particular portfolio or the head of an organization, that power is easy to see. But there's also power that's less easy to quantify, to notice, to name, and can sometimes be quite illegitimate and invisible. And that power can be granted for a number of societal reasons. It could be because of someone's race, their gender, their class, their affiliations, their position within the particular community that we're engaging with, their position within the particular partnership that we're engaging with. And both of those sources of power are important to recognize in a partnering process. It's important to recognize power and to acknowledge it and to craft your partnering process or your collaborative process from that recognition. Because if unacknowledged, power can wield an incredible amount of influence over that partnering process, that collaborative process, that is unplanned for and therefore not seen often until the end of it. So I've seen in many examples where you're in a room and you can see that someone has power because they're either dominating the conversation or other people don't feel free to speak. And at the end of it, you have to ask yourself, was this a partnering process? Was that a truly collaborative exercise? And that's just an example of a single engagement. But think about an entire project where that's happening. Think about like a long-term partnering process. It means that you're not harnessing the full potential of that process if one powerful voice is dominating the direction of it. And so recognizing power, calling it out, acknowledging it, inviting it in to shaping that collaborative process and how it runs is deeply important. It's deeply important to be able to respect the value and maximize on that value of a collaborative process. I think intermediary organizations or intermediary roles are absolutely critical to not neutralizing power in a collaborative process, but certainly neutralizing the effects of that power. It's an important role for an independent, neutral party to play because they have no stake in the game. So take, for example, a collaborative process where on one end you have high-ranking officials within a city government, and on the other end of that table you have a civil society organization or a community grouping. Without having someone hold the very clear, unequal power context there, this can never be a generative process. But these two parties often can't do that for themselves because there's no neutrality built into that. So a collaborative intermediary like the EDP is able to step into the space between the two parties or three parties or four, which is like an entity on its own, that relationship, and is able to facilitate and nurture that relationship with a deep respect of that power imbalance, and tries to neutralize the effects that power imbalance has over the outcomes of that collaborative process.